Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks. Dude here, coming to you again, another iteration of Dude After Dark. This one, of course, being a potentially celebratory version of Dude After Dark, because I went out and I caught a screening on IMAX of all things of Oppenheimer. I'll get into that a little bit later in my stack of stuff. And I guess there's nothing else to do but simply just leap into it, kicking and screaming, and go onward and valiantly and do those things that we shall do from the beginning of the beginning. And appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Good stuff like that there. So let's just jump into it, right into the heart of the matter, right in the lion's maw, as it were. I don't know if I can come up with any more hyperbole to describe just the stuff going on right now, but it is what it is. So let's jump into it, forthright and thusly. This one coming in from RepublicanDaily.com, and it is blatantly obvious what's going on here. Something happens, something pops up. Joe Kaka looks like he's got some issues, and when we're talking about Mr. Kaka will be doing those things in which we have way, shape, and form. My dog is losing his cookies because Mrs. Dude is now here. Hopefully she's got a key handy, but we're going to be speaking about well, not talking about Kaka, but we're talking about Trump. So anyway, Trump, this one coming in, like I said, RepublicanDaily.com. The FEC reports confirm the legal expenses are crushing the Trump massive. Hang on a second here. It just popped off on me. Hang on a sec. Let me lose that. Click back into it. Okay. Like I said, FEC reports, so Federal Election Commission, filings released on Monday show former President Donald Trump's Save America PAC has $3.6 million in cash on hand after spending $30 million in the second quarter of 2023. So the Save America PAC started the year with $105 million in the bank and raised $53.9 million in the first half of 2023. This report reflects the clawback of $12,250,000 from former President Trump's Make America Great Again Super PAC, believed the largest such return of funds in FEC history. So that's the source, the FEC report. So former President Donald Trump runs a network of PACs for different purposes. They are Trump for President, Trump/Save America Joint Fundraising Committee, the Save America PAC, the Make America Great Again PAC. Combined, they have $32 million left. Now, the thing about it is the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to expressly bankrupt him. Now, you're not going to bankrupt Donald Trump. Just give me 1 second here. I remember he did an interview on some news thing, or some online cable, or some cable thing or something, and they're like, "So, how rich are you?" And he's like, "I don't know. It varies from day to day. On paper, it could be anything from one number to another. I can't get specific without talking to my accountants." And they're like, "Well, why not?" And he goes, "Liquidity. First and foremost, I have so many investments all over the place. They go in value up and down. Stock market goes up and down. I could be worth X amount one day, X amount another day, and then the next day I could be worth twice that again." So he goes, "I can't tell you my net worth. And I'm not going to try to tell you my net worth because, well, you don't need to know." So essentially what it was is they basically were trying to get snippy, snarky, snoopy, and he shut them down. But let's just say conservatively, they said he's north of $3.2 billion. $30 million is pocket change. I think he's got that, okay? So anyway, what they said is the FEC filings confirmed, which was reported over the weekend, former President Trump can still raise significant funds, but they're being used to pay for his growing legal expenses. It remains to see how massive legal expenses will affect Trump's fundraising. So far, each indictment has has resulted in a new burst of enthusiasm by Trump supporters. So, looking at the graph, you have how many $1 million raised per day, and it's like $1, $2, $3, $4 million raised per day. The Manhattan criminal indictment was 2.4, 2.5. Then the arraignment peaked $4 million for one day. And then it's like, kind of meandering. Classified case indictment went to like 1 million and change. Then the arraignment went to like 1.5 million and change. So every time these guys do this stuff, people get pissed off and they vote with their wallets by throwing money at Donald Trump for his election. Now going on to the other side of the aisle, speaking yet again on our the name is yeah, Joe Caca, like the fart. Anyway, the ATF gets hosed yet again in court. The Fifth Circuit rules that the ATF, or also known by Joe Caca as the AFT, the ATF pistol brace rule is likely illegal. The Firearms Policy Coalition, also known as the FPC, and the FPC Action Foundation, so the FPCAF, announced that the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled in Mock, so MOCK versus Garland, finding the FPC and FPCAF, yeah, that's what it is, are likely to win on the merits of their lawsuit challenging the ATF's pistol brace rule. The Fifth Circuit also remanded the lawsuit back to the district court with the instructions to reconsider the other preliminary injunction factors within 60 days. The opinion can be viewed at fpclegal.org. So, in other words, what they told the court is Thor's hammer, do your freaking job and stop playing games because you know this is unconstitutional. It's not going to fly, and we are not going to play games with you guys. Stop throwing it back at us because we all know in the Constitution it states most clearly how things are. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but this one is this one is one of those. Yeah, and
I can't get up.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those cases of a transgender thing, and
it's spicy.
Well, yeah, it's definitely spicy, but the problem is this is one coming in from Breitbart.com. A transsexual in Canada requests euthanasia in Canada over pain from sex change surgery.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up. It's spicy.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, what we have here is we have the situation where the
S1ZPDQOU812
decided no, don't play that all the way through. We're gonna have problems. But anyway, the
S1ZPDQOU812
decided that he was gonna have everything switched up and become somebody on the other team. Dude, I think that's what's going to have happen after the hack-a-jobbery. Anyway, so coming to Breitbart.com, like I said, post-operative transsexual Canadian has requested the socialized healthcare system provide an assisted suicide lethal injection in order to end the long-term suffering and pain from a surgery to manufacture a neo-vajayjay. Neo in Latin just means new. So basically, they're saying that they added a new add a hole in me, I think is what they're trying to say. But they decided to go drilling and it didn't work. So Lois Cardinal, a self-described, quote, sterilized First Nations post-op transsexual, end quote. So what they're trying to say here is that they're actually a either an Inuit or they're an Indian, read like American Indian, like North American Indian. has expressed immense regret over a 2009 surgery to create an imitation vajayjay out of flipping the standard man parts inside out, saying the euthanasia would be preferable to the constant pain from the novel operation. The aftermath of the surgery often leaves many in pain, with the resulting neocutter effectively being an open wound that needs to be dilated daily to prevent it from closing. Guys, if you don't have standard equipment and you're drilling a hole in the human body, it's going to try to close the hole, okay? That's just the way the programming works. In all the base elements of your cells, they go, oh, no, there's a hole. Close the hole. That's the basic programming. So if you add a vagamy and do a subtract a dick from me, your body's just going to go, that's an open wound. It needs to be closed up. Well, that's like the classic thing. You know, people have their ears pierced and the holes closed. That's why, because your body's trying to address what it considers potentially something that is not original equipment. So speaking to the Daily Mail, Cardinal said, quote, I'm in constant discomfort and pain. It's taking a psychological burden on me. If I'm not able to access proper medical care, I don't want to continue to do this. Well, wait a minute. I thought Canada had like the best medical care on the planet, which should be a non-starter when you add a neo vajayjay. Everything should just be how would I say this without saying I got this sound guy. How would you say this without saying this? Well, if you do the subtract the dick from me and do the anatomy, it should just be
oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
Okay, it doesn't work like that. Potentially you have other issues. Imagine, if you will, a man subtracting his male parts, adding female parts, and trying to make it all work. We have a Canadian who's now pissed off at his own healthcare system. Yeah, that's pretty much what we got.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, what he's trying to do is
He's dead, Jim.
sound guy. He's trying to have third hand dead. So basically, he's trying to get Canada to just I don't know if they're going to try to feed him diesel, but
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Anyway, this guy's had a subtractocotomy, had a added vagamy, and nothing kind of worked. Choppa Dixaphony. Oh man. Patriot Fever says he's reporting from latrine detail. You know what I mean? Yeah, you probably got a bunch of kids that you're now trading old for new and dealing with the stuff. Mrs. Dude has her keys. She can let herself in. Okay. Anyway, way, shape, and form. Good stuff like that there. Hang on one second. The doggies being doggy. Hang on one sec. Let me just do something real fast here. So anyway, way, shape, and form, we find ourselves. I was just throwing her a quick note as she was coming in, and the dog is happy now because he got sheeped. Our dog is a cock and poodle. I know he's actually a Labradoodle, but he's a total fuzzball in between seasons. So we have him buzzed up, and he just got buzzed up for the season, and he's slick, very slick, like very, very short fur. Anyway, so I find this very interesting that this person is now insisting that the Canadian healthcare system's not good enough, so they want to do the recocrochomy and deal with the final attendant effects of just wipe me out of me. So Cardinal applied for Canada's, I love this acronym, capital M, capital A, lowercase I, capital D. So medical assistance in dying euthanasia program. They said it very Canadian. So PROGRAMME program. However, despite the progressive socialized healthcare system being one of the most liberal in providing assisted suicide, the 35-year-old Alberta resident has initially been rejected. Quote, based on current clinical information and consultations, the patient does not meet current MAID criteria, the doctor wrote. Well, you know, they also do have a very good amount of potentially publicly available narcotics, so you might be able to do an end run on them and just simply say, you know what, I'll just simply just ride the lightning. Just give me 1 second here. What?
Is it cooked?
Yeah, it's cooked. It's cooked. Anyway, so yeah, I think what it is the Canadian healthcare system. We've seen it to be just like they keep going on about, oh, it's free, it's great, it's this, it's that. It's like, yeah, but you're paying tons of taxes. And literally one of the things I heard that was like most daunting about it is, you know, anyone in the United States, it's like, oh, you got to get an MRI. At best, it's, you know, you got to wait a little while to get the MRI. If it's an emergency, you get shot right in there. In Canada, I think they only got like a few MRI machines per province, and that's it. Wow. Just wow. No other way to say it except for wow. I got another story for you. Jump and ship on that. Next about the XYZ PDQ OU 812s. This is going to be another one of the amazing ability of Joe Kaka to completely screw things up, according to Barack Hussein Obama. He literally was quoted as saying, leave it to Joe, he'll blank things up. And he did use the F-bomb. Anyway, it's now been said in Bidenomics that we're trying to transition to electric vehicles, and the grid will be damned. We will have, bazillions of electric vehicles, even though they're sitting all over the lots now. Nobody's really buying them as much. But the thing about it is Ford vehicles, like, the company that I will never, ever, 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 ever buy a new vehicle from, ever. I will not ever buy a new Ford, ever. Reason being is, this goes back to the good old days when they were making the Ford Pinto, and potentially they looked at the numbers and they said, you know what? It's going to cost us a small amount of money to put a shield on here so the car doesn't explode on a rear collision. We're just going to do the actuarial tables and go, oh yeah, it's easier to just pay out the death benefits rather than fix all these cars. It'll be cheaper simply just to do it like that. After hearing the history on that one, I decided I will not ever, ever, ever throw my hard-earned at a Ford vehicle. Ain't going to happen. Sorry, coming in from Breitbart, Green Cars Red Ink, Ford is set to lose $4.5 billion on electric vehicles just this year alone. Ford Motor Company projects to lose a staggering $4.5 billion on electric vehicles in 2023, up from the previously predicted loss of $3 billion earlier this year. Ford, which has recently reduced the price of its electric F-150 Lightning pickup trucks, announced Thursday the company is projected to lose $4.5 billion from EVs this year, according to a report by Fortune. The company's EV division, called Ford Model E, has already lost $1.8 billion so far this year. Projected loss of $4.5 billion reportedly stems from the slower than expected adoption of the new battery-powered vehicles. The automaker is also pushing out its production targets and expects to hit an annual production rate of 600,000 units a year by next year. Ford initially hoped to reach that target by the end of this year. Okay, well, here's the thing. If nobody's buying them, why are they making over 500,000 of these things? Oh, that would be called federal mandates. And of course, cash being thrown at you by the federal government to defray your expenditures. Excuse me 1 second here. Breitbart News reported extensively on Ford's troubles with the EVs, also they're known as the electric trucks, which perform poorly when towing. I've seen the videos on YouTube, and it's really hilarious. It's like, I had this thing charged to just over 200 miles when I started my day, so ample margin for error comes to range and towing. Also considering the fact that my trailer was going up empty 2 times, the guy said. After attaching an empty aluminum trailer to his truck and pulling out of the neighborhood, which is just a quarter mile away, the EV had already lost 3 miles of range. By the time the guy got to his location 32 miles away, the vehicle had lost a staggering 68 miles of range. Once he loaded up a Model A truck and drove back to his neighborhood, the guy got the driving range low warning. He saw that he only had 50 miles of range left, despite charging the EV for 200 miles at the start of its 64-mile round trip. Despite its loss in electric vehicles, Ford reported a large jump in net income due to positive results involving its traditional and commercial vehicles. Still not buying one of them. For the second quarter revenue, Ford reportedly generated $45 billion, 12% increase year on year, which earned $1.9 billion in quarterly net income, which is almost triple of what it raked in this time last year. Yeah, but if they're making $1.9 billion in income and they're losing $4.5 billion, they're suffering net losses. On that one, I'm done. Okay, it is beyond stupid. Yeah, Patriot Fever. What would the XYZ PDQ OU 812 do with another dude? Yeah. Actually, Patriot Fever, back in the good old days, I ran a Ford Super Duty, like mid-90s version, and it was the IDI, so non-turbo 7.3 diesel. The only thing that truck didn't do was really accelerate. It was slower than hell. Excuse me 1 second. Especially when loaded up. And it scads of torque, so it moved the stuff. It just was very slow acceleration. Excuse me 1 second there. But in terms of reliability, it didn't really break much on me because I was actually a nice driver to the truck. Everybody else was breaking carrier bearings, blowing clutches, all kinds of stupid stuff. Those guys were ragging those trucks hard, trying to drive them away that they really, truly weren't intended to be driven, and they were breaking them constantly. As a matter of fact, we got to the one point where I drove that truck for like a year plus straight, and the boss, owner of the company is like, so how's the clutch? And I was like, clutch is fine. Why? He's like, well, because everybody else's is like worn out and whatnot. And it's like, well, why isn't yours worn out? It's like, I know how to drive a stick. I'm not ragging on the clutch. Trust me, I'm nice to the vehicle. That's why. So anyway, basically got good use out of it. And with the exception of minor niggling, I'm using that, the N-word, minor niggling electronic boogers, like the headlight switch burned out once. It ate light bulbs, headlight bulbs a little bit. AC was a little but by and large, if you treated it right, it was a half decent truck. And of course, obviously it had a tow set up on the back, so that's even more redundancy for things that go wrong. And even then, it really didn't break much. It was just more a case of how you drove the thing, how you operated the thing. And if you were mean to it, it's going to bust up. Let's see. Scrolly. Me putting some memes up on my Facebook. I got to skip over because they're fun to see on Facebook, but they're not quite airworthy on YouTube. Scroll. So yeah, like I said, basically Oppenheimer. Let me give you the really quick and easy movie review here. Oh yeah, Patriot Fever, 454, 410s would out torque it, but my gas mileage sucked. Absolutely, dude. I think at the worst, I could definitely get that diesel to slurp some fuel, but if I was on the cruise, it was like a 16 to 17 mile per gallon truck, and it was not really. I think it was like 410s or 456 gears in the ass. So yeah, it definitely had like a really high rear end as well. But the gearing on it was such as basically it worked fine with the diesel. I think it topped out like about 80, 84, 86, something like that. It wasn't really like a hot rod. But, you basically just hit the rev limiter. That's literally it. The engine basically had a built-in rev limiter, and that was as far as she would wind out. That was it. The 350s had a bit more ass because, obviously it's a lighter truck. But the Super Duty was literally a 2.5 ton truck. The F350s were a 1 ton truck. But if you knew some cheats and you actually could set the thing up correctly, you could run them a lot heavier, but usually you got to be really careful with like the axle bearings on those. That's the first thing that rolls out. Patriot Fever, 4 gallons per mile. Yeah, it's like a tank, man. It's like a tank. So anyway, like I said, basically talking about Oppenheimer. It is a Nolan movie. There's no other way to describe it other than simply it is a Nolan movie. The plot is all over the place. I cannot begin to tell you, like, trying to follow the plot. It literally is like a Quentin Tarantino movie where it starts in the middle, jumps backwards, forwards, and all in between until finally you're like, okay, when are they going to set off the nuke? When are they going to set off the nuke? Obviously, the nuke is going to be, at the sand site. They're going to set it off. It's going to be, some amazing, spectacular special effects. This, that, and the other thing. But the thing is, they also got behind the scenes and showed, like, character flaws that Oppenheimer had, and the quirky personality that you're dealing with physicists, and they are just strange individuals. But I think it was kind of drawing too much of the fact that his indiscretions, and I'll simply just leave it at that. But there is some obvious adult activities on board, and I mean, the girl's cute, but she's not like, okay, I want to see this girl over and over again, recreating the fact that they're basically he and she in, which, obviously they did a couple times for, gross effect to show how striking it was for him to be enduring certain things in his life where the government was trying to screw with him, and, his security clearances and what have yous after the fact and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can read his story up on Wiki. I'm not giving anything away. I mean, the guy's life story is out there for all to see. However, the standouts in that one was Cillian Murphy, man. I believe that's his name. I believe that's Cillian Murphy. It's the guy who was in Peaky Blinders. And Cillian Murphy is in Peaky Blinders. He's done a number of other things, obviously. Inception. He played the Scarecrow in the Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batman series, The Dark Knights. Amazingly great actor. The acting, I can say, on this movie was absolutely, excellent. The plot, but seeing the thing in IMAX in the theater kind of is a must-have to. Trust me in this one. You really need to see this one on the big screen with the wraparound. It kind of really made it pop out, and the special effects in it were like top notch. I mean, the nuke shot and everything, amazing. I mean, it literally looked like you're watching a nuclear explosion in front of you. Really, really cool. Stephen Albers, appreciate you coming on by tonight, dude. Hey, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Good stuff like that there. Might have other people are out and around, but if you come in a room and you make comments, I will say hi to you. But yeah, if you guys get a chance to catch Oppenheimer, see it in the theater and see it in IMAX. I cannot express that to you more plainly than that movie really needs to be seen in IMAX. It's kind of one of those, you kind of really need to do that. Excuse me one second here. I don't know how to express this one other than express this one, but this isn't news to anybody.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Barack Hussein Obama. And let's just say this is not news to anybody, but looks like he apparently had fantasies about being with another dude. Yeah. So supposedly it's now come out that, one of his girlfriends got letters from him and she redacted the stuff about, oh, well, I don't think that you need to know that he was thinking about,
Oh, my.
yeah, but coming in from RepublicanDaily.com, no other way to say it except for saying it what it is. But supposedly the redaction of the letters did come out, but supposedly Obongo, the dancing Manchurian, fantasized about making love to men in a letter to his girlfriend. Now, there is pictures of him hanging out with other dudes and kind of being, it's kind of sketch. So, like I said, RepublicanDaily.com, the biographer of former President Barack Hussein Obama made the explosive statements during a lengthy interview published this week by Tablet Magazine. Historian David Garrow, who wrote Obama's 2017 biography, Rising Star, The Making of Barack Obama, talked about the various aspects of who the former president was, both politically and personally. Journalist David Samuels asked Garrow about how he got some of Obama's former girlfriends to get letters that Obama wrote to them while in college and law school. And what was the most surprising thing he found in those letters?
Oh my.
Yeah, with Alex McNear, Obama's girlfriend at Occidental College. I think she wanted to have her role known, said Garrow. So when Alex showed me the letters from Barack, she redacted one paragraph and one of them just said, it's about homosexuality.
Oh my.
Would you stop at the George Takei? Anyway, so Garrow said the letters ended up in Emory after Alex sold them, and that the school did not mention the paragraph in the press release according to possession of the letters. He said he emailed his friend Harvey Clear and told him to, quote, go to the Emory archives to see the letters. Quote, he spent his whole life at Emory, but they wouldn't let him take pictures, Garrow said. So Harvey had to sit there with a pencil and copy out the graph where Barack writes to Alex about how he repeatedly fantasizes about making love to men. Yipes.
Oh my.
While talking about some other girlfriends that Obama had, Garrow began discussing Obama's book, Dreams from My Father. When I start reading about Barack back in early 08, I read Dreams and thought, this is a crock. It's not history, he said. It's all make-believe. Who knows what the real story is? Well...
Oh my.
Would you stop it? Anyway, Garrow said the first time he met Obama in the White House in the Oval Office, Obama had with him this big pile of all his journals over the years. And he arranged them in this way on purpose to show me he's got them. So he can tell me I can't, so he can tell me that I can't see them. He's got this big sack. I want to call it a cloth sack or a canvas sack, at the bottom of which is all the journals. Then on top of it is a typescript printout of my manuscripts. So he's carrying them around together. Garrow said the materials of Obama included were his letters to one of his girlfriends and said, one of his girlfriends, and they would likely never be made public. Quote, I would be astonished if he burns. I wouldn't be astonished if he burns them, he said. He asked why Obama didn't want anyone to see his journals and letters. Garrow said, he wants people to believe this story. For me to conclude that Dreams of My Father was historical fiction, oh God, did that infuriate him. Garrow discussed various fires of Obama's presidency, including foreign policy and Obamacare. It was really not a logical president. He just wanted to be seen as successful. Quote, I've sometimes said to people that Barack is actually just as insecure as Trump, but in ways that are not readily perceived in the vast majority of people, Garrow said. I think that's probably my most basic takeaway. When later asked if he could say Obama in the Supreme Court, Garrow said he'd be terrible because he's too lazy. That this is in the book. He goes back to being Hawaiian. At one point, he says, I'm fundamentally lazy, and that's because I'm from Hawaii. That's close to an actual quote. Okay. I don't know. All Hawaiians are lazy, but, there is such a thing as like island time and the whole laissez-faire kind of a thing where basically, they say something is going to happen and, they'll get it done. But it's not like mainland New York where they're like rush, and everything is on an absolute timeline. It's kind of one of those, it's laissez-faire. It'll get done. Don't press me. I'll get it knocked out in my time. And that's usually the way stuff happens on the islands. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. It's not like rush. And, everybody kind of does their own thing at their own pace. There's a reason why they're on an island and it's chill. It's because that. Patriot Fever. So when does Michelle announce his post-op status? Oh, no. Oh, man. In news today, Michelle Obama receives surgery. Oh. Yeah, they added a hole of me. Oh. Anyway, so what did they do with the parts they took off? Okay. Okay, anyway. So you guys just completely threw me off my game here. Oh man. I did find it very interesting. I do not believe in this man's politics at all. However, as a legal genius, I will ascribe to most of, if not all of what he says as an absolute prerequisite for the Constitution. his interpretation of law and especially established precedents. But I got to tell you, this guy absolutely nails it. So Alan Dershowitz, of all people, finds a fatal flaw in the Donald Trump case. What he stated most clearly was none of the current indictments, in my view, meet the daunting standard of those things that are for you to impeach a president or find him guilty of any of the charges after the fact. Because that's the thing, is you can't indict a sitting president. You have to wait for them to leave office. It's actually kind of a long read, but what he says essentially, I'm going to try to nip this down a bit, but describing the standards must be employed in such highly political cases, I've articulated two criteria. The first is the quote-unquote Nixon standard. Quote, when President Nixon was threatened with impeachment, prosecution, or both for his obvious crimes, members of his own party joined in the call for his resignation. Quote, I am confident that if Mr. Trump had been caught on state offering or accepting a personal bribe, many Republicans would join in the demand for his prosecution. But current indictments, and especially the recent one, do not come close to meeting the daunting Nixon standard. The indictment against Mr. Trump for possession of classified material meets the highest evidentiary standard, but does not meet the standard for a crime which is sufficiently serious to warrant prosecution in the midst of a political presidential campaign. Perhaps the superseding indictments alleging that Mr. Trump ordered the destruction of videotapes may meet the standard, but the evidence cited in the indictment seems questionable and largely based on hearsay statements. This brings us to the January 6th indictment. Here, the crime is very serious, but the evidence seems lacking. I'm aware of no direct eye or ear or witness testimony that would prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Trump himself knew and believed the election to be fair and that he had lost. Indeed, the evidence in which I strongly suggests that Mr. Trump had convinced himself, quite wrongly in my view, that it had been stolen from him. If this is the case, then prosecution and indictment would fail to meet the Nixon standard. Any other standard must be met what I've called the whataboutism question. It is entirely fair to ask, what about Hillary Clinton? What about Joe Biden? What about Mike Pence? Well, they too possessed classified material after they left office. There are, of course, considerable differences among these cases, especially in regard to cooperation. But failure to cooperate is not a crime. It is a right under the 5th and 6th Amendments. No incumbent administration should ever prosecute a leading candidate against its president unless there is a widespread consensus among reasonable Americans of all parties and backgrounds that the prosecution is beyond legitimate controversy. None of the current indictments, in my view, meet that daunting standard. That's the guy I'm going to rely upon. If you're going to come up with something and you're going to throw it out there and you're going to have the legal eagles going, wow, this is beyond a shadow of the doubt, beyond the pale. We have him clean, cold, and ready to go. It's kind of like that old thing. You could prosecute and indict a ham sandwich. It's just ridiculous. Stephen Albers and Patriot Fever. Oh, something about pictures I'm not going to take out of the room. Wow. Let's just say that the procedure would be. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, that would just be bad. So where would the parts go? Oh, you would say, okay, sound guy. So you would send the parts forth with little angels carrying them away. Well, you're not using these anymore. Let's just send them ahead of you. Jeez. Wow. Oh man. This one I find completely, absolutely sauce for the goose, sauce for the gander, and something that really, really needs to have happen. Yeah. Truthpress.com, Jack Smith. And it almost comes out of my mouth like a curse word at this point. You Jack Smith. You're Jack Smithing around, you Jack Smither. You mother Jack Smither. It almost sounds like a curse at this point. So Jack Smith is now being threatened with a subpoena. That's right. Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida wants to put the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, on the receiving end of a few pointed questions. Or it might be Gates. Gates, who called for forcing the funding that supports Smith, removing the funding, lashed out at former President Donald Trump and was indicted by Smith for a second time. Trump, earlier charged with mishandling classified documents. The investigation led by Smith was charged Thursday with conspiracy in his efforts to challenge the 2020 presidential election. Okay, there is so many problems with that persecution and prosecution and intended skullduggery, shall we say. I mean, I really want to use stronger phrases than that, but let's just get perfectly specific here. Even as the president or the former president does not absolve him of his First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, does not absolve him of his 4th, 5th, 6th, 14th, 10th. I mean, any of these things come into play where he's in different areas and doing his things, he's not giving up any of his constitutional rights. Most expressly, there's a reason why it's the First Amendment for freedom of speech, backed up by the Second Amendment for staying armed to protect that right. So, they can say anything they want to. Well, he was talking about this, that, and the other thing. He's got freedom of speech as a sovereign citizen of these United States. So, Smith may have stepped in it just a little bit, trying to deny him his constitutional liberties. Could be interesting. Could be very interesting. House Republicans should immediately demand that Jack Smith present himself to the transcribed interview with the Judiciary Committee in the next 15 days, Gates said in a Newsmax interview posted into YouTube. Quote, if he does not do that, we should send a subpoena. If he ignores the subpoena, we should hold him in criminal contempt of the Congress, so he will be the first prosecutor in American history to prosecute a case while under criminal contempt, Gates said. Wow. Said he's then willing to take on Attorney General Merrick Garland. If Merrick Garland doesn't enforce that contempt, we auto-impeach Merrick Garland. About time. About freaking time. Now, here's the other thing, too, I find very, very interesting. We're going, well, Congress is a loose cannon. They're doing these things. Congress does not need approval from any other body in these United States to proceed in a prosecution on their own right. Because it's that whole thing, legislative, executive, judicial, 3 legs of the stool, as it were. Yeah. So Congress can actually prosecute and hold in contempt. I don't know what it really means when they say, I'm holding you in contempt. Is that the only thing that really means anything is when they actually impeach the guys. But, it basically sounds like the guy that gets arrested a million times and never gets charged with a crime. It's the seriousness of the charges. It's really, really crap. I thought that was orange rubbing on my leg. These have happened. Okay, I got to tell you guys, there's a number of times where this has happened to me where it's been sketch, and I was not happy about it, but I definitely covered my bases. The only thing I can say in this regard is make sure you have sufficient funds in your bank account at all times. So, you know, 1 second here. I know paychecks sometimes, don't hit at exactly the right time, but this one is interesting now. This one coming in truthpress.com. Furious Wells Fargo customers say direct deposits have vanished from their accounts. I'm not ever using Wells Fargo. Ever. Some Wells Fargo's customers reportedly money mysteriously vanishing from their accounts this week, triggering overdrafts and scrambles to transfer funds. Customers of the 4th largest U.S. bank took the social media platform X, which is the former Twitter, to air their grievances, say the direct deposits, even check deposits, had vanished from their accounts. Quote, like many others, my direct deposit on E2 has still not been credited to my account, and it has vanished. Your bank has issued no instructions on how to file a claim, and when do you expect a resolution, one person complained. In a statement to DailyMail.com, Wells Fargo said the issue affected, quote, a limited number of customers. I would not even leave my money in that bank at this point. I would say, give me all my cash right, you know the word I'm going to say, right now. And they were unable to see recent deposit transactions in their accounts. Quote, all accounts have been resolved are showing accurate balances and transactions. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience, a Wells Fargo spokesperson said on Saturday. Okay, it's not the first time a similar glitch has hit Wells Fargo customers. That is not a glitch, folks. That is not a glitch. What that is they overextended themselves. They didn't have the quote unquote, air quote, virtual currency. They did not have the money to cover those people because they extended themselves far beyond the amount of money that they actually physically held. That is one of those things that makes you go, I'm not leaving my money in there because I don't know when my, air quotes again, money is in the account and you guys aren't playing games with it to cover your own asses so the FDIC doesn't go, hey, what are you guys doing here? Because, you're not covering your bases because you didn't make XYZ payment and these things weren't covered. And if you let the domino tip over, the whole thing will crash because fiat currency is numbers on a computer screen. It is not real stuff. Excuse me 1 second here. Case in point, if I ever get rich, it will not be held in banks. I will probably have somewhere in the order of maybe 3 or 4 tons of gold somewhere. Believe that. But the thing about it is this is not the first time they had the glitch. But the bank showed, confirmed the customer's direct deposit not showing up. Wells Fargo has faced a number of controversies over the years, including a fake account scandal came to light in 2016. So between 2002 and 2016, Wells Fargo employees opened some 2 million deposit credit card accounts without the customer's approval or knowledge. The bank has replaced its chief executive twice, most recently the former Bank of New York Mellon chief Charlie Scharf, who signaled the plans to significantly change and try to win back the trust of regulators. Win back the trust. Hang on a second. Win back the trust of regulators? I think I'd be more concerned about the people going, no, I'm out. I'm tapping out. Done. Tap it out. That sounds beyond sketch as hell. Would not ever put my money near that place. Ever again. Wow. Obviously, you guys have probably heard about it by now, and the pissy asshole Megan Rapinoe, or whatever the hell her name is, the dude in girls' clothing, her version of the XYZ PDQ. Okay, I don't even know where you're going with that one, but let's just say that she's the dude in girls' clothing. Okay, she might be caca, but don't use caca for anybody but Joe caca. Okay, we're not talking about that. All right. Anyway, so this little piece of yeah, another way to really express it other than just this.
Retard alert, class.
Yeah, so this
Dick.
Okay, yeah, I'll allow it. Okay, so Megan Rapinoe, this
Dick.
she was making the final game against Sweden World Cup, whatever it was, and she basically had to take a penalty shot. So everything was riding on her, and she had to put a ball into the goal. And let's just say that she hates anybody with balls, but she plays with balls in public. That's the irony on that one. That's the irony on that one, is essentially she hates anybody with balls, but she plays with balls in public. So anyway, she missed the shot, thus giving the Swedes the win and basically crushing any chance she ever had for finishing her career in glory. And let's just say the memes have been absolutely freaking brutal. I mean, I cannot begin to tell you just how much it's just been absolutely just beyond, just absolutely beyond brutal. Let's see here. Yeah, that's the right one. I'm having to cheat phones now because the plug on my daily driver is being weird. So what I'm doing is I'm using the 1T Monster and slaving the old phone to the new phone. So using that as the conduit and obviously doing some stuff on that, but all my sign-in information and everything that's on this, I'm not putting onto that. So it is a level of level of security, good stuff like that there. And I'm now doing these things of which to do to ensure that I am now covered. Hang on a second here. I'm literally physically at work now. Excuse me 1 second, folks. Literally, what's going on here is when I go onto the Uber app, it has reservations pop up. You know, if I take a reservation that's locked in a certain time, I know we're going to make blah blah blah. I have work lined up for me when I go on the clock. So that's what I'm doing there. Okay, so it's not like I'm just ignoring you guys, but unfortunately, I'm still working here. Okay. Hang on a second. So let me find the picture which I'm speaking. Yeah, I cannot do this justice. I cannot do this justice, but it's like some of the memes coming out have been absolutely blanking hilarious. Like one of my absolute favorites was Dylan, one I actually posted up. Dylan ruined Bud Light, cost them billions, and was a woke agenda deity. Megan, hold my beer. Hold my beer. So yeah, she's been very popular in that regard, and the memes have been absolutely just beyond brutal, man. They've been so on point. I cannot do them justice. Yeah, Patriot Fever, absolutely. Do we want to look at women that look like men, or we want to look at women that look like women? And that Swedish team, you want to talk about some nice looking females. And now I can say for a fact they are very much in shape, running that field all the time. And yes, Swedish soccer team. I'm very, very much a fan of watching them run around. Good stuff. I am not opposed to it in any way, shape, or form. Amazing, awesome, typically yummy stuff. There is an FBI agent that might be a little bit in hock now because why? Well, he had knowledge of Hunter Biden's laptop. He didn't talk about it. He didn't tell anybody about it. And he lied under oath about the knowledge of it. Yeah, man. Coming in truthpress.com. A San Francisco-based FBI special agent lied under oath about discussions he had with a big tech company about that suppressed the post-reporting on the contents of first son Hunter Biden's laptop hard drive before the 2020 election, according to internal Facebook documents. Love this name, Elvis Chan. So obviously an American-born or somebody that really was a fan of 50s rock and roll. Elvis Chan made false statements about his communications with Facebook over the bombshell October 2020 reports that revealed Hunter involved his dad Joe in business deals with foreign nationals. Internal communications obtained by the House Judiciary Committee show. Wow. Facebook employee said in October 15, 2020, a message he had spoken with Chan. The agent said he was, quote unquote, up to speed on the FBI's probe of Hunter's laptop and, quote, that there was no current evidence to suggest any foreign connection or direction of the leak. Oopsie. Chan had shared the information during a follow-up phone call with the employee following a conversation the day before between the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force and Facebook officials, during which the Bureau declined to comment whether the laptop was, quote-unquote, real. But in a sworn testimony on November 29, 2022, Chan said he had, quote, no internal knowledge of that investigation, and twice claimed he had never communicated with Facebook before the one conference call before the FBI task force. That disposition was part of a lawsuit filed against the Biden administration by the Attorney General of Missouri and Louisiana, which charged the White House colluded with tech giants to unlawfully suppress free speech. Yeah, so this guy, he might have some talking to do. He might have some talking. Patriot Fever can get in front of this one. FBI Chan didn't kill himself. Oh man, yeah, he's kind of a creepy looking character to begin with, man. I mean, he's kind of a well. Let me just pop him up here. You guys can see for yourselves. He's kind of a creepy looking dude, man. I mean, there's no other way to say it but what to say it. He's kind of creepy looking. Let me find a picture of him. Yeah, so there's no other way to say it except for what to say it, but he is kind of creepazoid. He kind of looks like one of those, guys that you would probably see like running around with the Nambu rifles in World War II. he kind of has that look, like, you know, the scary, creepy Japanese soldier who looks like he's wigged out on, like, you know, opiates or something. He's got that feel. He's really got that feel. I know he's Chinese, but he's kind of creepy looking. Really, really creepy looking. This one, I think, is absolutely beyond epic. And I got to quote Clint Eastwood's character from Gran Torino. Ever had those times where you messed with the wrong guy? That's me. Well, what's going on now is truthpress.com. A pro-life father is running for Congress after Biden DOJ tried to lock him up for 11 years. Mark Hoke was arrested by the FBI after an incident outside an abortion clinic, which later cleared federal charges by a jury, is running for the Pennsylvania's first congressional district. Quote, I've seen firsthand what an out-of-control government can do to its citizens, Hoke said on the campaign website. I will fight to protect all people and our rights under God and the Constitution. My platform is based on common sense. So, literally what this guy did was he was outside an abortion clinic, you know, not really blocking people, but saying, hey, this is what you might want to do instead of that. Just talking to people, trying to talk to people. And then, of course, they said, oh, we're going to call the cops on you. Well, they didn't just call the cops on him. They actually called the FBI and stuck it to him. Only problem is, right-minded people were saying, you know what? Not going to do it. Not going to do it. This guy is not guilty of these charges. Nice try. Go away. And I hope the judge actually said, you know what? I'm going to find this one with prejudice, which means they can't open the case again. Done. Done. Folks, I cannot begin to tell you how much this truly disgusts me, this next story. But Joe Kaka,
You dick!
yeah, you have earned expressly that status.
You dick!
Yeah, no, it's not quack. No, he's definitely earned.
You dick!
Yeah, he's
Dick!
dick status, big dick status. Now, I don't mean like he's got a big dick. I mean he became the big dick in the dick status of you.
You dick!
Yeah. So what did he do? What did he do? Well, Joe being Joe, he walked up to a Gold Star mother. Now, if you guys know what that is somebody that had a son or a daughter die in active combat. So she's a Gold Star mother. So she is Cheryl Rex, the mother of Lance Corporal Dylan Mirola, I guess it is. Quote, when Biden approached me, his words were, my wife, Jill, and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. Now, if you guys know the history... Yeah, Mr. Vatican Pooper himself really screwed the pooch on that one. So while he was going on about, well, I know exactly how you feel, and it's so hard. Oh, life's bad when you lose your son in combat. I know exactly how that is. She further was going on with this. Quote, my heart started beating faster and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. How could someone be so heartless to say he knew how I felt? Beyond, absolutely beyond disgusting. His son may have contracted cancer from his activities being in combat zones. He didn't die in combat. He died in a hospital with his family around him. So, yet again, Joe Kaka misrepresents the situation of how his son passed to try to cozy up to somebody whose son died with honor in combat. Yuck. I don't know if you guys like this or not, or if you want to eat this or not, or if you ever even think about this or not, but This is going to be one of those ones that's going to be just a little bit hard to get through. Yes, it's going to be a little bit hard. Oh, this one coming in from Breitbart.com. How do you say this? But how do you say this? But how do you say this? But Breitbart.com. Beyond Meats sales plunge as consumers reject the vegan alternative. Yeah. I mean, there's no other way to say it but what to say. Man, I tried the Beyond Meat Whopper, and the only thing I can say is it made me feel bad. It made my guts kind of crappy for like a couple days. It is not real stuff. Real stuff is basically the animal going out, being raised, and you eat the animal. Yeah, not some guy going, hey, look, there's a piece of vegetable. Let's take it out. Okay, let's bring it on in and add some chemistry to this stuff. Yeah, that's right. Then all we got to do is put it in this test tube. Oh, yeah, baby. That's yummy stuff. It's artificial, but we think it's real food. Yuck. So anyway, Beyond Meat is now losing some cash. So vegan food maker Beyond Meat has seen its sales crash by almost a third as consumers reject its hyper-processed plant-based products despite substantial price cuts and claims its customers can, quote, positively affect the planet, end quote. So the El Segundo, California-based meat substitute maker says net revenues fell by 30.5% for the 3 months of the end of June compared to a year earlier, while shares of the company fell by almost 12% in extended trading in New York. Beyond Meat now expects revenues between $360 to $380 million for the year, AP reports. That's down from $375 to $415 of forecast at the end of the first quarter. Yeah, because people aren't eating that crap. On Monday, the company said it is affected by softer demand for the plant-based meat category, high inflation, rising interest rates, and ongoing concerns about the likelihood of a recession. Could it have been maybe that you're selling stuff that's not real food? Yeah, maybe people just go, oh, yeah, that's so delicious. No, because it's just bad stuff. It's not real, okay? It's just well, it's not real. if you're gonna have a situation where you have this stuff and you're trying to eat this, well, I don't know about monkey feces, but it's definitely not real stuff.
Oh no, that's not true.
Yeah, that's not real stuff, folks. Okay, so basically, you have that thing coming down the pike, and you're looking at it, going, "Do I really want to eat this sound guy?" And it's not quack. Okay, it's not quack. It's oh look, it looks like chemistry and laboratory stuff, and it's not real food. I'm not gonna eat it. Yeah.
You sick little monkey.
Yeah, I'm not gonna eat it. No, I'm not gonna eat the meep. Okay, stop. I'm not gonna eat the meep. Potted meat is more real. Potted meat is basically everything but the squeak. Okay. Oh man. Oh, chef. Yeah. Hello, children. Yeah, chef making a potted plant-based burger. You know, that's something South Park really should dog on. They really should dog on, like, like the fake meat burgers and stuff. Oh yeah, it's in the lunchroom. It's great. It's disgusting. No, it's not so good. Speaking of stuff not so good, and I have it on good authority that, well, somebody who's gender fluid could be ingesting gender fluids. Yeah, on fire, going down in flames, but they cannot stop doing their woke agenda. Coming in from Breitbart.com, folks. They're at it yet again. Disney says, hey, bud, hold my beer. Yeah, Disney's doing it yet again. So the executives at the House of Mouth Must be drinking Bud Light. Disney just pulled a marketing stunt that sends a direct message to the home of any child or adult still believing this company is about a wholesome family value. They're not. From Breitbart, the transgender influencer Sean Altman, and that's Sean with 2 N's, so Seann, Sean Altman, a biological male who identifies as gender fluid. I tend to think he probably drinks gender fluids. Created a promotional TikTok video for Disney Style, the company's social media brand promoting Disney-themed clothing, makeup, and accessories. Folks, I just got to show you this picture, okay? That's all I got on this one. That's all I can do. I just got to show you the picture of this person. That's all I got, man. That's literally all I got. I just got to show you the picture of this person. Oh man, I cannot begin to tell you just how much they really truly don't get it. I was gonna have to do it like this. Anyway, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. It's being weird again. Facebook is really not good sometimes to grab stuff and try to show it off. I wish that they actually, cleaned things up and made them just a little bit easier to do. So let me cheat this real fast. I'll just grab a screenshot, do a screenshot, make a screenshot, and I will cheat it thusly. Sometimes I really need to just clean this thing up a little bit, but hang on a second here. Yeah, I really should probably do more show prep for this, but you guys will get it. You guys will get it. Yes, you will. You will understand thusly what's going on here. But I cannot begin to tell you just how much of a foo-foo, really, really foo-foo. Yeah, that's what Disney thinks you want to see representing the brand. Yeah. They really, truly don't get it. They are destined to want to go down in flames. Why? Because they're not going to stop doing what they're doing at all. In the videos first reported by the Twitter account at leftism4you, he provides a dress-up tutorial to look like Minnie Mouse. The video is subsequently posted on the Disney Style official TikTok account. Catch that? Posted and promoted to millions of children around the world through Disney's official social media account. Disney executives love this content, and they want children everywhere to love it too. This is the first time Disney's promoted an alternative lifestyle intended to seduce children in believing in the leftist ideology. Quote, Disneyland recently employed a mustachios transvestite to welcome young girls into the park's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. In the past couple of years, Disney has fought Florida over its anti-grooming parental rights and education law, creating multiple transgender characters for children's shows, put gay characters at the center of big-budget movies, and even launched an XYZ PDQ OU812 themed apparel line. These guys really, really, really don't get it. Speaking of somebody else that truly just does not get it, and I gotta do this phone thing again. I'm sorry, guys, but this is literally what I got going on right now. If I had better, technology, I could actually drag and drop pictures and whatnot on the streaming, stuff. But we'll make this work. It's just a little bit more steps, and you guys can listen to me talk for a minute. But it is what it is, and I can only begin to express this as a Jew for what I see this to be what it is. Now, you can ask anybody in the Jewish community. We are not offended in the slightest by any component therein of Christianity. It's that whole thing about the Judeo-Christian aspect and any component of things, basically First Testament, all the rest of that good stuff, Moses, all that stuff. There's a lot of history going on there that mixes it up between the Jews and the Christians. We ain't paranoid about it, okay? It's not that big a deal. We're good with it, okay? Not an issue in the slightest. So let me cheat this real fast, get out of this, go back to my gallery, pull the picture up that I just basically grabbed. But I cannot begin to express this in any way, shape, or form other than to simply say, for them to do something like this speaks of Nazism and fascism. So Germans picking and choosing who they're offended by. How Nazi of them. So Porsche, as in Porsche automobiles, is now getting boycotted by Christians. This coming in from the Blaze. 9/11 speeds past the 25th Abril Bridge, which connects the Portuguese capital city of Lisbon to the municipality of Almeida. A pedestal can be seen in the background without its historic statue. Now, everybody has seen the picture. If you don't know it, you've still seen the picture. The picture would be you seeing this great big statue of Christ. And it's literally on this giant granite platform. It's on this high part of the city. It's literally this very majestic view where you're looking down off the top of the mountain. You see this statue, and beyond, you see the city. So, the 269-foot base that's been holding up the iconic Cristo Rey, or Christ the King statue, since the first Porsche 911 took to the European asphalt. It appears the marketing team of Porsche figured 2023 was an ideal time to visually raise it. So, this is what they did. You see the statue there? They clipped it out of there because it would be offensive to have a depiction of Christ in the background as a car is driving around that happens to be made in Germany. I don't get where they're coming from, and I tend to think that this kind of creative editing is probably going to backfire on them because there's a whole hell of a lot of Christians that probably go, you know what? I don't need to buy a Porsche. I can buy something else to drive around, and I find this kind of damn offensive. So that's where we find ourselves with that one. And I'm personally offended because, you know, that's just an awesome piece of, you know, just art. I mean, you call it what it is. It's just an awesome piece of art. Let me just even see if I can find a picture here real fast. Images. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, here you go. This is the usual depiction that most people usually see, is they see this. You know, this just glorious piece of artwork that's just everybody has seen this picture. Trust me. I mean, if you look around, you've seen this picture. And they just decided to edit it out. I hate people playing, oh, let's switch things around and make it different. And, you know, it's going to be better because we now have this new way of thinking that's so much better than the previous. So, it's just really, truly disgusting. I'm going to break off with this one, folks. I appreciate your kind attention. You guys hanging out with me tonight. Good stuff like that there. You guys got many other things to do on a Tuesday, but you decided to hang out with me, and I appreciate your kind attention. So I'm going to break up with this one, folks. So eager to keep tendering as always, you know what, you love it. We're now at an hour and 13 minutes. So I went a little above and beyond. Good times. So I'm going to break up with this one, folks. Eager to keep tendering as always, you know what, you love it. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I got many other things. You got many other things to do. And you decided to hang out with me. So I appreciate the kind of times that you spent with me. And I feel like I'm talking absolutely epic. So I'll catch you guys next week if I don't come up with something else. And I will see you then. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I will catch you guys next week. See you guys.